Hello again, everyone. I have a message from a contribution, and I know I said I wasn't going to speak about this situation again, but the person wanted this thing read, and they felt very strongly about, the whole YouTubers video. So they put together an email for me, which is 30 pages long, but we'll get through it. Keeping my name anonymous. I know this is long, but I feel there are several important points, as your YouTube videos say up front, indefinitely. I came upon someone in YouTube that makes videos about narcissism. She is making some very concerning, if not alarming, claims in her videos. I watched 3 of her videos that day, and they were so concerning that I had to write you. I was looking for one of your videos, and when the video I had accidentally hit was playing, it struck me as being so obviously insane that I was going to stop it from playing. However, as I reached over to click it off, it turned out that she mentioned you and the Smackintoshes channel, and so I took note. After listening to her video, I saw that she made other similar videos for her narcissism channel. This person falsely postures herself as being an expert therapist when it comes to narcissism. It is alarming because she falsely portrays herself as being somehow higher and more knowledgeable than all the others in the internet who make narcissism channels by having appointing herself as the judge, giving either don't watch or telling viewers that it is okay to watch whatever narcissism channel. So she is the self-appointed critic of the YouTube narcissism community. I should add that what she is doing reeks of narcissism, given her false posturing to be of a certain high status or entitlement without commensurate achievement. She has appointed herself as the judge for all those who tell their stories about narcissism on the internet. She does this by making videos, quote, critiquing and judging all other narcissism channels. She gives a yes or no as to whether each individual narcissism channel should be viewed or not by people who are victims of narcissistic abuse. With her bloated body, face, and ego, she is self-appointed Simon Cowell of the YouTube narcissism community. These are her words, not mine. I'm going to quote here from the DSM-IV, DSM-4, the book that I've used in the psychiatric community to diagnose patients. Although the controversial decision was made to remove all criteria for narcissistic personality disorder in the updated version, DSM-V, narcissism is still very much recognized and acknowledged by the psychological community. Other personality disorders were removed as well in the updated version. In fact, 5 of the 10 listed, in addition to NPD and other personality disorders that removed, included histrionic personality disorder, schizoid personality disorder, and paranoid personality disorder. The reason why was that so many people with NPD have comorbid disorders, meaning secondary and additional personality disorders. For instance, someone can have borderline personality disorder with a crossover of narcissistic personality disorder. Many respected people in the psychiatric community have been quite vocal about not being pleased with the removal of narcissism. I wouldn't be pleased either because to me narcissism is the root of all of it. And unless you deal with narcissistic personality disorder, the rest of them don't really matter because you're treating symptoms, not the cause. Given that, I'm still going to make references to the DSM-4 about narcissism because the psychology world knows this personality disorder exists despite its absence from the book. I'm going to quote from it a few times throughout this message to you. Listen, the reason why narcissism is trying to be pulled by therapists because it exposes the therapist cabal and the therapist bullshit. That's why they're trying to get rid of it. As far as when making decision to go no contact, I would like to point out here that across the board it is generally considered to be incurable, which I've been saying. Going back to this woman who has declared herself the arbiter of YouTube narcissism community, I would like to point out that according to the DSM-4, one of the sides of grandiosity in the DSM-4 is the following. I am quoting from the very first behavioral sign that it gives regarding grandiosity. That person quotes, has a grandiose sense of self-importance, i.g., exaggerates achievements and talents, expects to be recognized as superior without commensurate achievements. I just wanted to point that out. I think it takes a lot of arrogance to judge people telling their stories of victimization, especially given that she is posing as being some sort of superior expert to everyone else, that she is this self-appointed judge to the extensive community of victims of narcissistic abuse who have come out on YouTube. I would think that what she is doing might possibly demonstrate another symptom noted in the DSM-4 for narcissism, that the person, and I will quote, shows arrogant, hoity behaviors and attitudes. This girl criticized you in part, stating, most people have very mixed feelings about Ollie. First off, to her grandiose, self-inflated ego, apparently, she is under the belief that she is able to gauge what, quote, most people feel about you. That is clearly disturbed thinking. How would she know what most people think of you? There is nothing in reality that supports her statement. In fact, ironically, you have far more likes than dislikes. Well, narcissists always use those grandiose type of statements. Everybody thinks this. Everybody said that. Everybody told me. They are the arbiter for, they make these grandiose statements just meant to throw you off. When talking about you on her channel, she then claimed that people either love him or hate him. Again, given the fact that you get so many hits and people are sending you money with only one compliment from a hater that is one complaint from a hater that is clearly maladjusted, why is she making this false claim? I wondered if she's projecting her own black and white thinking onto you. By the way, black and white meaning all good or all bad thinking. It is symptomatic with thought processes associated with borderline personality disorder. Anyone can Google that, and it is noted in works such as the book of Cognitive Behavioral Treatment on Borderline Disorder by Marshall Lineham, who is considered one of the most renowned psychologists in the psychiatric community that is involved in working with borderlines. This woman's video also attacked you for, quote, not being healed, as if you have no right to your anger you feel regarding the constant acts of child abuse that were perpetrated on you. No real licensed therapist would ever criticize someone for feeling anger for being abused as a child. I would also like to point out that the abuse perpetrated against you by your family on a chronic basis is still being enacted by your family, and they are still quite actively engaging in activities to try to be abusive to you, including denying you the right to see your daughter, and you aren't supposed to be angry about that. And people should not watch your videos because they have been, quote, healed from that. Is she insane? You have been very clear about your past situation as well as the ongoing present, and you have played tapes demonstrating actual proof of it. So this woman is basically saying that you are somehow faulty for having the anger you do, and that we should really not want you, really. I would like to point out the obvious fact that we are given emotions for a reason. One is for self-protection. When we are angry, it is an alarm that perhaps we are being victimized, and we should examine to see whether that is true or not. How does that woman think people should feel when they have been chronically abused by their parents? How does she propose that you feel when you have irrationally not been able to see your daughter in ages or freely communicate with her, solely for the reason that your family is using your daughter as a baseball bat to abuse you with? Any real therapist with any real credibility would tell you when it comes to being a victim of child abuse, you have to feel it to heal it. For her to try to shame you for your emotions is not what a professional therapist would do. You make it clear that you are not a therapist, and you have explained more than once in great detail that fact. However, this woman purports to be an expert, which she is obviously clearly believes she is, because she is doing videos judging other people in the YouTube narcissism community in her videos. As far as that remark she made about you expressing your emotions or not being healed, I would like to quote noted therapist John Bradshaw from his book, Healing Shame That Blinds You. He states to be shame bound means that whatever you feel, any feeling, need or drive, you immediately feel shame. The dynamic core human life is grounded in your feelings, needs, and drives. He adds, these are bound to shame. You are shamed to the core. This woman is doing what narcissistic parents do, then try to shame you for your emotions. Why is this woman doing this to you? Is she projecting her own unhealed shame by attacking you for yours? She's not just doing it to me. She did it to everybody. She did it to basically everybody who makes YouTube videos. When you've been abused by your parents, why should you have to hide your emotions about it? Countless books by many people in the psychology community, most notably those by very well-known therapists Claudia Black and Sharon Wegschneider-Cruz, are widely noted experts on covert and overt rules that exist in virtually all dysfunctional families have written about these rules. These very family rules are brought up in the psychology community, everywhere from rehab clinics to private practices. They are, quote, do not speak, where the abuse is supposed to be kept secret and no one can ever address the dysfunction or the abuse that is going on in the family. It cannot be discussed. The next of these rules is don't feel. Everyone has to hide their real feelings except for the abuser. That is just one of the many reasons why the golden child pretends to agree with the parents about the scapegoat. The next one is don't trust. Don't trust yourself. Don't trust your instincts. Well, why then is this fat woman is dissing you for, quote, not being healed? Are you supposed to hide that? We know you are representing your emotions is very dangerous. Stuffing your emotions, we know repressing your emotions is very dangerous. Stuffing your emotions can lead to depression. It can cause things to happen, like people that seemingly out of nowhere take their unaddressed issues and go to the post office and shoot 16 people. Repressing your anger about being abused is one of the worst things you can do. That often leads to victims acting out their abuse. Think about that and think how dangerous that is. So who is this woman on her video channel to tell us victims that we do not have the right to our righteous anger? I know about those family rules because I have read every book written by these two therapists who are certainly quite noted in the psychiatric and addiction field. The late Alice Miller is inarguably one of the most respected people in the psychology community to have ever worked with abused children. I have also read every one of her books. I would like to quote her here. She often wrote about how children have to hide their righteous anger because their parents will attack them or punish them if they express their anger. And you certainly have given examples of that on your channel. So while that woman is telling people not to watch your channel because you have not, quote, healed, I would like to point out that hiding that anger and repressing it can actually create great psychological problems. Within Miller's writing, she wrote, neuroses and psychosis from repressed feelings are a reaction to trauma. She explains about society. The child's anger and all the other feelings we, meaning society, don't like are reactions to child abuse. Apparently, the woman that made those statements in her videos is not aware of any of these things. Miller also wrote about how the abused children are forced not to express their emotions by the narcissistic parents. And I think that has happened to all of us. We're supposed to just shut up and take it. Miller explained the child must repress the memory of the abuse because they were not allowed to express their feelings. And now you've got this woman attacking you, criticizing you for addressing your feelings. And she is telling us that we should abandon you and your channel if we are, quote, not healed. Absolutely incredible. Your story of abuse that you have endured from your family is so horrific. This woman clearly lacks empathy. I would like to point out that according to the DSM-4, the trait of lacking empathy is one clearly of the symptoms of narcissism. It is one of the criteria used when diagnosing narcissistic personality disorder. It also states that narcissists are, quote, unwilling to recognize or identify with feelings and needs of others, unwilling to recognize or identify the feelings of others. I don't know what she could do to show more of a lack of empathy, but it gets worse. She also tries to falsely insinuate that you are violent. I have no idea where this comes from. I have watched most of your videos, and there is none of which I have seen you express violence or the propensity towards it. She also says in her YouTube mess that people should not watch you because of you wanting to kill your parents. She publicly states of you, he got a bum rap from a lot of people. Who are these people? Her? I have not seen other person in YouTube or any other forum on the internet criticize you, except for you're talking about that one hater that obviously has his own agenda. Well, we all have haters. I do get my share of hateful comments. Depending on how disgusting they are, I'll either leave them or take them down. Usually if they're attacking somebody else, they come down. But then she says to you, I can tell he's been abused in many ways. Says this, if he has been psychoanalyzed in your video, as if she has psychoanalyzed you in your videos, but yet you've come out for quite a while at this point, going to great detail in your videos, talking about how you were abused by your family and the result of you being the chosen scapegoat of your family. You go into painful detail discussing what they have done to you, how they victimized you since you were a small child. But she seems to be claiming to her viewers that she figured it herself that you were abused. I can't understand why she made that comment. Is she inferring the fact that you were abused by your parents has been questioned and that she is somehow verifying it for people that aren't sure, as if such people even exist, which they clearly don't? No one questions that you were abused. Any idiot could tell that you were abused because you talk about it in almost all your videos. This really upset me because then she said, but I'm not sure I'd recommend him for victims of narcissism. Whoa. Since she recommended that victims of narcissism not watch your channel, does that mean that the rest of us should shut up and not tell our stories? Pretty much. She's like pretty much trying to just corner the market of narcissism. There's enough of it to go around, though. She says victims of narcissistic abuse, victims of child abuse should not watch your channel. She said, quote, maybe once you've been healed and you've got your identity back and you're not going to kill the narcissist or something. Who said anything about killing anyone? There's obviously nowhere that you or anyone related to your channel has talked about killing anyone. At what point and exactly how does she decide when the viewers are, quote, healed enough to watch your channel? When does she think we people that were abused by our own parents should get permission to watch your videos? And what is your definition of healed? Say that young girl is molested by her father and her mother let it go. What? She can't be pissed off about it when she thinks about it because that means she isn't healed? Really? Is she going to slap our wrists with a ruler if we are angry at our abusers? If I get angry when I remember my mother pushing my mother pushing me down a flight of stairs and laughing and saying, now don't fall, who is she to tell me that means I should not watch your videos? Excuse me? When I remember my parents killing my pets and how sad it made me, does that mean, according to her, I can't watch your videos? One of the things abused children have in common is feeling shame, feeling alone because we had to hide the abuse. We couldn't tell anyone. Any therapist will tell you that one of the best things you can do if you were abused, one of the most healing and liberating things is to be able to tell a safe person. And Ollie, your channel is giving people a safe place to do that. To finally tell someone in a safe manner to a safe person. That is one of the reasons therapy is helpful to so many of us that we are horrifically abused as children. We could finally talk to someone that understood and did not judge us for our feelings. But she is saying that we victims of narcissistic abuse should hide from seeing your channel. What is she objecting to? That we find out that we are not alone, that we will find out that others suffered the same disgusting fate with the same exact tools from the narcissist trick bag, that we viewers might find out we are not the only one that were irrationally humiliated, shamed, abused, and used by our parents. I swear to you, the last time I was ever at my parents' condo, which is many a mile from where I live, I walked in, sat down on the couch in the den, waiting for the woman that gave birth to me to come into the room. I glanced to my immediate right at the end table, and there was a framed photo of a naked woman. This was in the den, the first room that you walk into when you walk into their condo. So when I walked in, I asked her, "What is this?" She said, "Your father collects antique porn." Like it was totally normal to have a photo with someone naked, some naked woman's tits and genital area exposed when people come over. When I saw it, then I immediately flashed on the sex manuals that my parents would leave out in the open when I was a teenager, and all the constant inappropriate sexual comments that my father made to me. It was the last time that I ever would go back to that place, except when I flew back to my father's funeral, which was a total nutty, dysfunctional event behind the scenes. And then I flew back to see the Rolling Stones show there, but I was definitely no contact by then. When I remember my father's relentless, inappropriate sexual remarks to me, or my father even making sexually inappropriate remarks about me to my male teachers at my school, I don't know if you ever completely heal from that stuff. So I can't watch your fucking channel, really. I am going to leave out my own story here because I want to address these points and questions about this woman. Anyone knowledgeable knows that parents who abuse their children do not stop when their children become an adult. Narcissism is a lifelong disease. Once it strikes, it's permanent. When you grow up, you still become an adult and no longer hate you, but they still abuse you. Like in your case, your mother continues to intentionally still find ways to abuse you, so you are still freshly abused. Being the family scapegoat, I was recently notified that I am legally disowned by my mother. That is being freshly abused. So that woman's channel is saying that I should not watch your channel either. Well, this woman goes to say that as far as whether or not anyone should watch your channel, she says, and I quote, "Not when you're being victimized." Ollie, that is freaking crazy. She's basically telling all of us not to watch you because I think all of your viewers have been freshly abused. So she's basically telling the entire narcissism community not to watch your videos. Who made her the arbiter of what to watch? When viewers of your channel go home for Christmas and their parents are abusive to them, according to her edicts, that means they can't watch your channel. Ollie, we know narcissists virtually never stop abusing their targets unless they move from the scapegoat to the golden child. But for the most part, they keep abusing the chosen scapegoat for the entirety of their life. It continues into the will when you find out that you are disowned. And even beyond the grave, narcissists have their flying monkeys continuing to snipe at you for them. This woman's excuse for publicly telling victims of narcissism not to watch your videos is, and I quote, that they are very triggering with lots of details that could put you over the edge. Over the edge. Yep, over the edge. Ollie, I'm going to again quote John Bradshaw here, and I should point out that he was the psychologist that really kicked off the so-called self-help book revolution into full gear when he started writing about psychology for lay people, describing dysfunctional family dynamics as being a, quote, system in which each member has a designated role, a role that is stagnant, such as the scapegoat and the family hero, who, in his words, is there to make the family look good. And of course, the family hero would like to help cover up the abuse and justify it to people if the word gets out by making up lies about you and to make you look bad so that it looks innocent that you are abused. Bradshaw's groundbreaking work became a PBS series, noted additional roles that were forced on the other children in the family, with choices that could be included, such as the lost child, the mascot, and other functions that abusive parents foist on their offspring. So you begin to understand that in that system, look to see if there is a golden child upon whom the parents are always overcompensating their praise. The star or the hero in covering up the abuse and contributing to it by worshiping the dynamics of the family cult. But it was Bradshaw that first wrote the dysfunctional family roles for general public. When we are forced into one of those assigned roles, we know it is for life. It is a life sentence. We are cast into that family role from when we were toddlers until our parents die. So if you are not no contact, you are for sure going to be, quote, freshly abused, because these narcissists do not stop. So if people watching your channel are not no contact when they are likely going to continue to be abused in some way, that means they are going to be, quote, freshly abused, not to use that video channel's words. You have not traumatized these people. You have helped thousands of people, but this woman is directing people not to come to your site. And she is trying to discredit you, what you are doing, and the help that you have given to so many people. As far as her claiming that your videos are traumatizing for people to see if they are, quote, freshly abused, how is this traumatizing for people to find out that other people were also abused, just like they were, and they were just the exact same way you were? How will that traumatize them? It won't. Despite her ill-founded claim against you, I do not believe that the victims of abuse watching your videos will be triggered, but I believe the opposite will happen. I believe that based on all of the actual responses given from people who have written to you and that have asked you to do a video for them on your channel, that you have been absolutely cathartic to thousands of people from all over the world who have found out they are not the only person whose mother spent their money just to be mean to them, or that they are not the only person to be abused in other ways or that they are not the only person to be abused in other ways you talk about that you went through. I believe you have been a relief for so many people who thought that something was wrong with them, but the problem was really their parents. Plus, you give them the tools to break free of that abuse by encouraging them to go no contact. So you offer people a way out. You give them hope you give them hope that there is life outside of their dysfunctional family system. As far as her telling people that have been freshly abused not to watch your channel, I think that when you are, quote, freshly abused, it is the perfect time in someone's life when they especially should watch your videos, because they can reach out to you for help and guidance. She also criticizes you because you sometimes use curse words. You know what, Ollie? If the worst thing you ever do in life is say fuck, you are doing pretty damn well. As far as the curse words, this is not Iran. We have free speech. Is it really that her delicate ears can't take a few random curse words, or does she have some other agenda? But that woman is not done telling victims of narcissism to avoid your channel. She also pathologizes you by making an underhanded remark about you that is typical of the abusive comments that narcissists make about their prey. She says, he seems like an awesome guy, but what do you know about any of these people on the internet? So now you are reduced from a guy that has poured out your entire life story, including your employment history, even introducing your wife. She's implying that there is some deep, dark, sinister thing going on with you. And given that she is portraying herself as some self-appointed expert and inflating her knowledge about narcissism, it is funny because she's clearly crypted so much of it from Sam Balkin's videos. But when she has no other criticism of you, she just makes one up, portraying you as some mysterious, shady, sketchy character that traumatizes people. I was absolutely floored by this. Apparently, since Sam pretty much stopped making videos, they so rarely come out anymore, she has nothing new to say about narcissism anymore. So she is now making videos gossiping about other people in the YouTube narcissism community. I noticed a couple people are doing that as well. While on the other hand, she attacks you for using curse words, conversely, turns around and attacks the Smacintoshes channel for talking about the Bible in their narcissism videos. She also attacks the Smacintoshes narcissism channel by saying, quote, if you don't mind that they make references to the Bible. Whoa, incredible. She is insinuating that victims of narcissistic abuse should not watch their channel either because they believe in God and they actually come out and say it. I can't understand why this woman is making videos criticizing other channels. Would make a snide remark about Smacintos's quite fascinating channel, which analyzes narcissism based on scriptures in the Bible. Incredible. For thousands of years, people have gotten refuge, comfort, and solace from the Bible in hard times. When you look at collective societal narcissism in the white community during the civil rights era, it was a preacher, Martin Luther King, who literally brought millions of people together to heal the wounds of abuse that was wrought on the black community. There is nothing wrong with having God involved in your healing practices, and the Smacintoshes are not religious fanatics. John Smackintosh even comes out and says in some of his videos that he does not care what religion you are, or if you're an atheist. So it is not like he's pushing a religious agenda on anyone. The Smackintoshes are a married couple who were both scapegoated and extremely abused. They are no contact with their entire families. I know that Mrs. Smackintosh's family still tries to get a hold of her and abuse her through third parties. She was abused horribly. So when I watch this fat pig on her video channel telling people not to watch the wisdom of the Smackintoshes, which they got on their own through life experience and studying the Bible, it really makes me sick. The Smackintoshes do videos from a point of view of seeing narcissism as a form of evil that a man has dealt with since the beginning of time. It is so ironic to me that this woman dissed you is dissing the Smackintoshes for finding examples of narcissism in the Bible and of God telling people in the Bible to go no contact with them. Since that fat hog is making videos dissing any references to the Bible when it comes to healing from narcissism, does that mean that she opposes the 12 steps, which are used on a very large percent of the cocaine detox centers in this country? Alcohol Anonymous, Al-Anon, Nar-Anon, and all the rest of these organizations, because they all include believing in a higher power. To quote Nar-Anon's credo, our program is not a religious one, but a spiritual way of life based on our 12 steps of Nar-Anon. So how does that woman claim herself to be an expert in psychology when she sneers at someone dealing with psychological issues and narcissism through spiritual prism? I noticed that she's judging other people's channels that I've not heard of. One such guy I'm not familiar with, I think his name might have been Mandrake, she condemned as quote, unprofessional because he smokes cigarettes. Well, I would like to inform her that Sigmund Freud very famously smoked cigars, so she might want to check into learning about that. Since she wants to put people's videos for being unprofessional because they smoke on them, Miss Piggy has made plenty of narcissism videos while clearly not dealing with what appears to be a very obvious eating disorder. If she can't even deal with her own issues, who is she to attack you? I would like to offer her a quote from the book that she does not like, the Bible, Matthew chapter 7, verse 1, where she says, judge not, lest be judged. For what judgment shall ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye shall meter, it shall be measured against you. It also says, and when you behold the splinter that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye. I am terrible reading Bible verses. She's using food to deal with her issues. Maybe she needs to do her own work instead of attacking people for having emotions and wanting other people to stuff down their feelings the way she apparently likes to stuff down food. That woman who was making narcissism videos telling people not to watch other people's narcissism videos is scanning with such petty excuses to diss other people's channels that I wonder if it is jealousy. In fact, she does say of Sam Vakin's channel, I am most jealous of him. He is certainly It is certainly clear that she has plagiarized a great deal of his work on her channel from him. She has used an inordinate amount of quotes from Sam as well without attributing them to him. I would just like to see him get credit for his work instead of just plagiarized. I think that's fair. Well, Sam, I agree with you, but Sam is published at this point. I don't think he's all that upset about it. This woman who is making videos telling vulnerable people of narcissistic abuse who to watch and who not to watch clearly has problems of her own. She really does seem to have some sort of food addiction. So given that, I think I'm going to quote from the Bible here, from Luke 4:23, Physician, heal thyself. Isn't it funny how people attack you for petty things when they have issues of their own? Another thing I find very concerning about her is that she is obviously scanning people, looking for things to find fault with people for in our narcissism community. So I am wondering if she has a hypercritical parent or parents, and she still has not healed from that. I don't know. I don't watch her stuff. I would suggest she go into therapy. You only started your channel to tell your story. You should not be judged for doing so. You have a right to tell your story. I am sure as fuck wish your channel was around when I was a kid. It takes so much just to come out and tell everyone you know your own story. Some people never do. It's hard enough to tell people you know the sick things that your parents did to you, and it is hard to come out and tell the world your story. I hate to think that right now there is some poor kid out there, say like narcissist's daughter, that is afraid to come out and tell her story for fear of being negatively judged and criticized by yet another narcissist. While you have been encouraging people to come out and get rid of the stigma that we feel as adult children of narcissists, for fear of being judged, that egotistical woman is hating on you for it. Telling your story is part of the healing process. It is a healthy thing to do. Narcissists never want to hear other people's story because they only care about themselves. It has to be all about them. So while that nasty woman makes videos trying to make the victims of the narcissism community all about her, that right there is her engaging in a narcissistic act. That should be all about her. In her grandiose arrogance, she thinks it is her place to judge people that are making narcissism videos. What she is doing is basically saying only those that have been healed should make narcissism videos. Not being healed is all the more reason to make one. What she is essentially doing is basically saying that we should not even have a narcissism community. People like her are so destructive. But isn't it funny, Ali, how there is always someone out there to attack the victims of narcissistic abuse. She is attacking the victims of narcissistic abuse, attacking you, the Smackadoshes, and whoever else. I really don't watch that slob, but there are several other videos she did where she rates other people's stories of abuse they endured, and they're talking about how to deal with it. For her to attack the victims, you think that woman is either a narcissist, or I wonder if she has some kind of identity with the aggressor syndrome. Really, instead of her criticizing people that were victimized and abused as children, she should work on her quite obvious food addiction. She clearly has not done her own healing because she seems to be some kind of food hoarder. I do hope that she does not feed her kids like that. Going back to that comment she made about not watching your videos until you have been healed, she obviously does not have any idea how many therapists are still in therapy or that are doing mindfulness meditation and other related practices. To quote Sam Vaknin, Healing is not an event, it is a process. So how dare she try to determine who your audience should be? One last point, I really want to emphasize this. If she's claiming that people are contacting her saying your story is not true, first off, we clearly know that is not true. So she has to actually create an imaginary flying monkeys that do not even exist. Your story has been so consistent since day one. We have heard the tapes of the surviving family banshee. Isn't it funny how narcissists always try to deny your story? They do it not just to defend themselves, but to fuck with you. It is the same stuff they do to deny the Holocaust happened. It is just another form of abusing the victims and co-signing on the abuse. Abusers almost always deny that they've abused you when they confront you. I don't care if it is a parent or an ex-boyfriend. Denying the abuse is part of the abuse cycle. So for her to try to put any doubt in people's mind that your story is authentic is clearly a tactic that abusers like to do. Classic narcissistic abuse. When you have a narcissistic parent or parents who always grow up being judged over stupid and petty things, people need to not give her ratings or attention, because obviously that is what people like her want. She probably does not get much attention from men because she's a food hoarder and there is something else clearly going on. So as she's engaging in what narcissists do. Keep doing your thing, Molly. Wow, 30 pages. Well, thank you for your message. Thank you for the thought. And there is some really good information you put in there from therapists who have actually tackled the whole narcissism thing. I'm not telling anybody whether to watch a channel or not. That's for you guys to decide. That's not what I do. As far as her description, remember, those are the writer's words, not mine. She felt very strongly about the situation after viewing my video and viewing what was going on this person's channel. She really wanted to comment. She made a contribution, and I'm glad she did, because there's some really, really good stuff in there. I, for one, am more spiritual. I'm not into the whole Bible verses thing. I do got to correct something. I do know the Smackintosh channel. I don't watch it all that often, so I'm not that familiar. In the first video, I actually confused Sky Smith with Smackintosh. But once I looked at the channel, I knew who they were. They'd been on my friends list. But I was talking about Sky Smith as well on my channel. I didn't want to leave her out because she does do good work and she's been around for a while. She's been with me for a while, so I wanted to point that out as well. But yeah, I mean, this was very well researched, and it's most everything I've talked about in one video or another, with the tactics of narcissism, what they do, how they perpetrate it on us. You know, it's a good story. She threw in some of her own story in there as well. You know, she's been no contact for a long time. The other thing is, without telling you who this person is, all I'm going to tell you is you'll be shocked to know who this person is. Shocked to know who this person is. This person isn't just some random person off the wall. This is somebody most everybody would either, if you don't know this person directly, you would know them from what they do, and it is completely legitimate. So just wanted you to know where that was coming from, and this person's abuse is completely legitimate because I've read her other stories on the channel as well. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you everybody for watching. Any comments in the box would be appreciated. Remember, Charlene has her own channel now as well, The Blue Period Artist. And remember, once again, if you enjoy this channel, please consider making a contribution to the PayPal link in the description box below. And remember, if you want your story made into a video and you make a contribution of any amount, you go right to the top of the list. If you want to do a Skype video, that would require a contribution to the channel, and we can discuss, where you're at, what you could swing. But for those, because I need to be able to put out more and more content, because I'm getting more and more offers from different YouTube partners. I'm starting to get some attention. So, but I really need to be able to keep this thing going. So, any contribution to the PayPal link would be most appreciated, and your videos go up as soon as humanly possible. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all again soon. Bye.